Hi guys, my name is Chris from Craftreactor, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to achieve the third eye effect from the famous movie Doctor Strange. To achieve this effect, 4 things are involved. 4. Number 1 is that you need to track your forehead where you are going to place the eye. Now, and to track this, you need a detail, a very recognizable detail to enable your computer assess and define the area you want to track. Number 2 is clearing the track that you applied on your forehead. Now, in this case, in my tracking, I used a marker to draw a shape on my forehead to enable my computer access a very recognizable detail for tracking. Number 2 is clearing the marker from my forehead. Number 3 is placing my eye. And the 4th one, final one, is to put a muzzle contraction. At that point where your eye is opening, there should be a muzzle contraction over here. So all these are achievable inside of After Effects. So let's get started. As you can see, this is the marker on my forehead. So in order to track this, I'll go to Effects and click on Mocha. Mocha is a plugin that has been built inside of After Effects to enable you to track things efficiently. So I'm going to launch Mocha. So the first thing to do is to take my spline tool and draw a shape around the point where the marker is. And I'm going to put that here, and then I'm going to ensure that translation, scale, rotation, and share, they are all checked. And I'm going to click on track forward. This is going to take considerable amount of minutes depending on the speed of your computer. So let's just wait. So finally, our footage has been tracked. So the next thing to do is to save it and click on export track and make sure that this is selected to After Effects transform data, position, scale, and rotation. Click on copy to clipboard and close Mocha. The next thing to do is to create a null object where you are going to paste in the track data. And then I'm going to rename this to track data. And I'm going to press Ctrl V on my keyboard to paste the track data. As you can see, the null object has been clicked or has been pasted to my forehead. So the next thing to do is to duplicate this layer, our original footage, double click on it. Now I'm going to clean up this on my forehead. So I'm going to go to my clone stamp tool and make sure that I select, I'm going to press Alt on my keyboard and select an area and then wipe. So this has been wiped. So the next thing to do is to go to my composition. I'm going to recompose this and recompose. I'm going to select move all attributes and click OK. I'm going to go to time, freeze frame, and I'm going to go to my pen tool to bring G and then draw in marks around my forehead. And I'm going to link this to my track data to make sure that this is in position. So as you can see, I've covered up that layer. So I'm going to rename this to skin. So the next thing to do is to create a duplicate of our original footage, recompose it, and then rename it to eye. I'm going to click on move all attributes and select OK. And I'm going to enter into the composition and still duplicate it. Go to the layer below and go to a point where my eye is opened, and then right click. I'm going to go to track and stabilize and go to track motion, and I make sure that I click stabilize motion. And I'm going to take my tracking point to this level to my eye. Remember, this is the point where we start adding the eye. So I'm going to make this larger and then click on Analyze Forward and let After Effects do its thing. This also depends on the speed of your computer. So after your footage has been stabilized, then I'm going to go to my top layer and I'm going to right click, select time, freeze frame, and I'm going to get a patch of my skin to cover up on my eyebrows. Sorry, remember we are creating the eye, we want to bring out the eye alone. So in order to do that, we need to cover up the eyebrows. So I'm going to just draw marks around here. And then feather it a bit. I'm going to drag it to cover up my eyebrows. Make sure it is feathered properly. Then after that, I'm going to go to my composition. As you can see, our eye has been covered. Our eyebrow has been covered. Then I'm going to create a new solid. I'm going to call this an eye matte. And I make sure it's on top of my eye layer. So I'm going to go to my eye layers and select the track matte to the alpha matte. So the next thing to do is to take our pen tool and then draw a mask around our eye. And I'm going to link the eye matte to the eye and also link our eye to the tracking data. Then I'm going to take my eye, the third eye I have created, to this place, to my forehead. Now make sure that I feather it to blend into the skin properly. So I'm going to go to my eye, then drop curves adjustment, a little bit of color correction. As you can see, our eye has been created. But it's not over. We need to animate the eye coming into the scene. The eye doesn't just stay that at that point. So we need to create a kind of an opening or animation. So in order to do this, I'm going to go to my eye matte and I'm going to animate the marks. So I'm going to go to the point where my eye is fully opened and create a keyframe on the mask part. And then go to where my eye was closed and then animate the marks. So after that, as you can see, I've animated the marks. The next thing to do is to go to your eye and then drop the effect vector blur on the side of it. And I'm going to go to where my eye is opened and create a keyframe on the amount and go to where my eye was closed and crank this up. The purpose for this is to create a kind of organic opening. So as you can see, this is what we've got. You can also drop an opacity. Create an opacity here. Press C on your keyboard. Create a keyframe on the opacity where your eye is opened and go to where your eye was closed. And then select So this is what we got. So the next thing to do is to add the muzzle. Now we've tracked, we've cleaned up the mark, we've added the eye, and then the final part is what's adding the muzzle. So to achieve this, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer, and I'm going to drop that behind the eye and my eye layer, and I'm going to just rename it to liquify. Now I'm going to go to my effects and search for liquify and drop it at our adjustment layer. Then I'm going to go to my track data, press P to bring up the position, then go to my liquify, press Alt on my keyboard, and select and click on distortion mesh offset. Now this brings up an expression. So we are going to link this, parent this to what the tracking data. Now the purpose for doing this is to make sure that the muzzle transition or the muzzle change is in accordance with the tracking, the position of the tracking. So I'm going to click out and then go to where my eye is fully opened, select my brush, and then I'm going to just distort this part a little bit. And I'm going to click on the keyframe, and I'm going to go to where the part where my eye was closed, and I'm going to change this to 0. As you can see the movement, you can see the distortion in my head. So at the end of everything, this is what we have. Stay woke. Alright guys, that's it for this tutorial, and if you enjoyed this tutorial, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click on the bell notification icon to get notified each time I post new content. My name is Chris from Craftreactor, and please don't stop creating.